Everyone's like, yeah, man, no, Rayo ducked out because he was too scared to say that, yeah, man, there's not enough anime. And I'm like, what do you guys expect? You guys want me to put Nitro Plus back into the lineup? I don't think that's gonna happen. Sorry, people. But yeah, no, it's been a funny afternoon because I got some nice information about Revo just like as I left.
Yeah, we're live, by the way. Hello, everybody.
Oh, hey, woo!
Yeah, we're doing it. Video games. Video games. Somehow.
We are live.
Yeah, I'm talking to Rayo, the man behind NGI Interactive Operations. Hello, buddy.
Hello. How are things?
Things are the same as always, aka up to my eyeballs and stuff. But it's the same for you, right?
You and me both, my friend. You and me both.
Let's tweet this out so that people know you're actually talking about stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye on all of the Discord channels, so I know something will pop up. So.
All right, so I'm just going to throw the first question at you because it makes sense.
Oh.
What do we need to know if we want to go to Revo?
Right. What you do need to know. Whoosh, let's move my mic so it's a bit closer. What you need to know if you want to go Revo. Right. You need to make sure you know the dates, which are the 6th to the 8th of October. This is October, not August. Because I know some people get the American dates. Someone said, "Oh yeah, it's on the Wednesday," and I'm like, "What?"
It's on the
And I'm like, "Oh, nah, actually, that's not really what." When did he get on for Wednesday? And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we just looked at the dates," and I was like, "Oh, okay." But it's actually a 68th on October. It's a Friday to Sunday event. Basically, you need to make sure you bring your own controller. That's the most important part of Revo, is because there's a lot of people that come down that don't bring their own controllers. Because of the way the PS4 firmware is now, we can actually desync controllers manually now, which is really nice. So all of the main TLs will all have wired controllers that they'll be able to desync everyone from. So having like your PS4 pad is not so much of an issue. So PS3 pads are still banned though, however, for Arcana Heart. So something to keep in mind. Make sure you got a good place to stay. That's always really important, because if you don't, then it's always a bit difficult to get into the venue. The good thing is that the venue is in Zone 2, which means that it's only like 4 stops away from King's Cross St Pancras. So that's like dead in central. And probably grab an Oyster card if you plan to travel around London as well, because like it'll be pretty sad if you came to London just forever, when London's got so much other stuff you could look at, barring all of the other issues that's been happening around there. So
yeah, there's your information for Revo, folks. But what took you so long to announce it, buddy?
Oh, right. There is a ton of things about it, and like I've got like a spreadsheet for like this amount of stuff going on. Let me tweet this. I'm gonna put this link out in the EUFGC on the event just so people can see it. Unless you've beaten me to it already.
No, I've not beaten you to it. You can go for it.
Right, okay, so the biggest issue about announcing Revo late, the biggest issue about announcing Revo is that we have to make sure that we get a ton of stuff sorted before we can even announce dates. With the way it was looking at after Revo last year, it was either going to be a big event or it wasn't going to happen at all. And one of the issues that we had to come in is that we didn't have that much money to progress to anything. And one of the biggest complaints that we had last year was that the venue was too small, which is, I understand it. Like, we didn't know it would be that popular, we didn't know we had that many people, so on and so forth. and whatnot. So I was like, okay, cool, right. If that's the case, then we need to either A, get something bigger, or we have to stay the same and just have a longer waiting list of people. The good thing is that the guys at Rice Digital, bless their souls, are basically bankrolling Revo. So the venue, all of the equipment, the setups, outside of our own monitors and stuff like that and whatnot, is being paid for by them. So they're basically like, look, we've been working with you guys for about 7 years, and like Revo's done amazingly well and stuff, and like we see that you guys want to push it to the next level. Do you want to push it for the next level? Do you want to see if we could get something going? And we were like, yeah, we could do that. But the minute you work in that sort of system, you are in that cycle of bureaucracy. So there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of information to get across. There's a lot of things to double check in terms of insurance, in terms of company policy, what it's like to health and safety regulations, even more so than before, because like before we were just individuals, and now we're not individuals anymore. We're guys working with quite a large company, and the reason why it's important to make sure you go through all those procedures is that you got to make sure that from a legal perspective the event goes well. So on top of that, the first thing you have to look for is a venue, and I'm not going to mention which venue it was because that would be bad, but basically we actually had a venue all wrapped up in March-ish or so. March, April. It looked really, really good. It was a decent price. It was all sorted, and we went there to check it out, and it looked really, really nice. And it was in, again, Zone 2 London, so pretty close to Central. Because after the whole thing of SVB, people were like, we don't want to travel to Zone 5 and 6 because it's too long. We don't want to travel very far. It's fair enough. So we always look for places in Zone 1, 2, and 3. So when we did that, when we sorted that out, it takes about like a month to process all of that sort of stuff, to get the payment details through, so the finance teams are sort of working on it, and all this other bits and pieces to get out of the way, so for Rice Digital to sort it out and pay for it. Frustratingly enough, on literally the day they were going to pay for it, they were like, oh yeah, sorry about that, you have to now pay twice for Friday, because Friday after 6 o'clock is now considered a second day. So to put that into perspective, that roughly pushed up the price to about 10 grand, which was like it's nobody's budget basically. And because of that, we were sent back to the drawing board like a month behind schedule basically. And at that point we would have to look for a new venue. The good thing is that we had a backup plan, but the backup plan wouldn't have been available until June. And once June was available, because the biggest issue about having stuff like in June is that the football fixtures come out, and a lot of venues rely on the football fixtures of when they can allocate their spaces for events. And the reason why that's important is that if you don't know, the Rocket Complex is right next to the Emirates Stadium, which is Arsenal Football Club. So they rely heavily on the football matches to bring in business. And even though it's a part of London Met University, it's still a big part of like their culture, their yearly finances, and so on and so forth. So we have to wait for those dates for us to acquire our dates. So basically, literally, like before, like I dropped the dates and games on Twitter, like from the week before, the whole week before that, there was like 5 different dates that were floating around. So it's like only when you have everything absolute and guaranteed is when we could announce it, and there you go.
So the major question from some of the foreigners was, do you feel you left it too late to help them travel? There's people with issues getting hostels and stuff. Do you agree?
Yes, I made that very aware in the very first tweet that I made. That yeah, it did take. It took way too long to get the announcement out. But the problem is that a lot of those issues were out of our hands, unfortunately. So initially we were supposed to have something done by about March, April. That fell through, and then by that time you're looking for venues with your requirements in mind, and it's not easy to get the date you want, because the date is very important, but I can't really disclose any other information other than that. So, but unfortunately, that's the problem that we have, is that if we're looking for a certain time frame, and then you're looking for a venue where it's got enough space to hold this many amount of setups, and it's also got to have really good internet and so on and so forth. Disabled access is preferable. Does it have a bar? Yes, no. If not, then what can we do? Is it close to a station? No. If it's not close to a station, how does transport work? Is it at least easy to get to by bus, so on and so forth? So it's a bit. It can be a bit frustrating.
Indeed. So how would you look to address those issues in the future?
I think looking to it in the future, I think what we'll probably do, and I think it's a huge learning curve for almost everyone in the team, because there's a lot of new people that are working on this sort of project, is that I feel that we'll probably be working in it a lot earlier in advance. So, which is really, really, really important, because Revel last year was sort of like we were looking to do it, we were really looking to do it, and a lot of the stars didn't align at the time where we wanted to start planning it. So we got put on the back burner for quite a bit of time. So I feel that if Revel is successful this year, then it's something that we could definitely get planning well in advance. And we know, everyone knows what it's in for, everyone knows what they need to do, and so on and so forth. The good thing is that like, this is like really like considerably childish of me, but like I'm quite what's the word for it? I'm somewhat relieved that like we didn't leave it too late. Like, so for example, SoCal Regionals has not been officially announced yet, and SoCal Regionals is like 2 weeks before Revo. And it's the same thing with stuff like CO Otaku in terms of games and stuff like that as well. So it's at least I was happy that once we had the dates, we could release all of our information, like in a moderately short space of time than it is in like over like large chunks. So
yeah, that's cool. So in regards to the game lineup, obviously this time you guys are, I won't say it's not true, people have questioned it. So in the previous years you've had more anime titles. Why is anime diminished, so to speak, from Revo 2017 after the record numbers at 2016?
The thing is that in terms of the game selection of this year, like we have to explain our process of picking games. Basically, we run between 9 and 7 games per year, and we usually take the smallest games out, and then we replace it with new ones. Unfortunately, 2017 has been a weird year, because believe it or not, BlazBlue, Guilty Gear, King of Fighters, and Skullgirls carried Revel last year. Like, those 4 games individually got much more signups than all the other games. So then we have an issue of looking at what games didn't do so well, and the 3 games that had the least amount of signups was Nitro Plus, which only had 8. Was Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax Ignition, which had 12, and Persona 4 Arena, which had a flat 16. This is not normally so much of an issue, but when you think about it in the perspective of, okay, so where do our numbers come from? The BlazBlue had a ridiculous amount, had 95 and was pushing 100. Guilty Gear was pushing 70. KOF had 46. Skullgirls had 34. And I can't remember what I was after that. Arcana Heart was the 6th game, and the 5th, then the game after that was Unio. So then we had Arcana Heart, then Persona 4 Arena, then Genki Bunko Skullgirls, and so on. So then that's how the games work. So that's we usually select. So we usually have returning games and new games coming out, new games coming in. And I personally have one veto for one game that goes there. And last year I chose Genki Bunko because I really wanted to give that game another chance. And I thought, well, with edition coming out, hopefully we could get more than 16 that we had last time, and then we could really start like pushing it, stuff like that. And unfortunately, only 12 people came, which is what it is. People couldn't turn up, or people couldn't make it, so on and so forth. So that is the main way we look at it. And the thing is that Nitro Plus is a given, because the last time we had a game under single digits was actually JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. And I'm not talking about the arcade game either. I'm talking about the PS3 360 release game.
Ugh.
Exactly, where we had like 3 people enter. So like anything under single digits usually is like, okay, yeah, look, it's a bit of a wash. So, but last year we had a trace of games like of backup. We had Koihima Enbu, which we could have put in. We had Blade Arcus, that we could put in. But between 2016 at the end of Revo and 2017, this Revo, there hasn't been anything that's come out. Nothing on console anyway.
Yeah.
So the only thing that's really come out on console has been the new Under Night game, which is on PS4. So which has been really good, because that game, because Under Night gets played a lot across Europe, online wise especially, and to have that sort of refresh for that game at such a critical time, because I think a lot of people were starting to lose faith in the fact that that game would get updated, was really, really, really important. But we have the problem of like, well, Persona 4 has been begging for that 2.0 release for ages now. And really what they should have done, they should have released 2.0 with a 2.0 with a PS4 release. Just a re-release, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
If it was upgraded or not, I wouldn't really care. Because at least then it could come off the hype that is Persona 5. A lot of the old players are like, oh, finally we get our balance patch back, and it's more invigorating into the scene. Unfortunately for Persona 4 Arena, except for the person that won it, a lot of the people that came top 8 or even competed in the tournament came to me on the Friday and Saturday. They were like, yeah, like so many people don't play this game anymore that we just ended up practicing on the Thursday. And it's like, yeah, but if that's the case, if that's the case where not that many people are playing it at all, then we have to think about, can we keep it in that sense? So obviously you got other choices like Melty Blood. The biggest issue about Melty Blood is that it's a logistical nightmare running on PC. So that's the main thing, and because of that, it takes a lot of time to set up, and it's its own nightmare to do. So it's that's literally the other choices. The other thing other than that is going back decades and pulling out something like Aquapaza or putting in a much older game. And we sort of thought, well, if that's the case, then are people going to travel for it? Because before, it wouldn't be so much of a big deal, because we could eat very low turnout games. It's not a problem, because to be completely transparent, paying off the venue last year was only like 900 something quid over 3 days.
Yeah.
It was like it came to about £1,300 or something. So it wasn't that much to pay off, which is perfectly fine, because at the end of the day, everyone's venue fee basically covered everything. So I'm happy to sort out payment for it, because what we normally do is that we usually pay for the deposit. So basically, we pay for the deposit and a chunk of the venue fee at the start, and then once signups have gotten to a certain point, we pay the rest off in signups money.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier for us to pay the money off, because a lot of us don't have that initial money. But the good thing is that the guys at the Pony Meadow Community Centers, that they were willing to run that sort of system because we knew we were reliable at doing that. But the problem is now is that we're running in the Rocket Complex, and that space is absolutely massive. So we now have to make sure that we have to allocate enough spaces for everything. It's like, surely we would love to run everything, but we've had Persona 4 has been there for about 3-4 years now, and with rumors on the horizon that a new one is coming somewhere down the line, or possibly, which is going to be really good for that game because at least that scene gets invigorated with something new. And the same thing with NB is a bit of a nightmare because I remember talking to the guys at Marvelous, and doing anything PR related for that game is a complete and utter horror show because they've got so many IPs from so many different companies, and so many other companies have to get approval from so many other different companies before they send anything out for PR. So getting a game like Nitro Blasters is very rare in itself. But the thing is that we had the preview the year before Revo, and for this year, for last year, really didn't do very well. And we tried to push it, and even like I think we had like 8 people sign up, but only like 6 people entered in the end, because a lot of people were like, oh yeah, we wanted to concentrate on Blaze Blue, or we want to concentrate on Guilty Gear. So like people intentionally got themselves disqualified from Nitro Plus, which is really annoying. Which only makes it seem like worse for the game. And the other one is then Genki Bunko, which is really one of the ones I wanted to keep, but unfortunately it had issues like diminishing entries, where it had less people each time. So last year it had 16, and I was really hoping Ignition would push it to like at least 20, 25. But the problem is that Ignition never got released in the West, like at all.
Yeah.
So like there was no extra people who even knew about it. A lot of the people that played Ignition were the only people that really imported it, which is normally not a problem because we run imported games. We've run Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear, the Japanese version, if they're not out in English. But it's really difficult for a more obscure game like Dengenki Bunko when it doesn't have that sort of like, oh man, there's Ignitions out, and like most people that have played the Western version are like, wait, hold on, there's another version. But you tell them, oh yeah, you could buy it, you could import it. It's PS4 players game from different regions, and they're like, well, yeah, but why should I go through all that effort? I'll just wait for the Western release, and it never comes out.
Yeah, they bollocksed that with the first version anyway, putting it out 3 months before the update in Japan. So
yeah, exactly, and not only that,
they killed it for themselves.
Yeah, and the thing is, they didn't really give that much of a push to it, like in terms of like, oh yeah, here's what's going on. Like there was like one PlayStation Store blog post about it, and then like I tried contacting Sega to see if they wanted to do any support for it to help push it, but they weren't really interested. So they weren't interested in the sense that they didn't answer to me. They didn't actually say they weren't interested.
Damn.
So
just nothing back is pretty much no.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's the way I'd look at it. Yeah,
that.
That's the way I'd look at it. Just be like, no, thanks, no email. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah.
The thing is about companies is that if, for example, we have Dengenki Bunko, Fire Climax Ignition, they can't support a game that's not out in their region. They just don't do it because they don't have the budget allocated to it, and it sort of pisses off the whole head office up in Japan. They're like, why are you pushing a game that you don't have available for you, and so on and so forth. So like if we're running imported games like that, nobody really wants to touch it. So, which is unfortunate because like you'd want to see games like Dengenki Bunko to be pushed a lot more often. So that sits onto our next issue where we looked at the games lineup and we were like, man, what games can we put in for this year? And there was literally a blank.
Yeah, there's no anime.
Yeah, there was no anime releases on console, like except for Unist. Like literally, that was it.
It's not even out yet, officially.
Yeah, it's not even out yet. But the good thing is, it's out by then.
It's out by the time you guys get going. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, ugh, right. This sucks because now we've got a position where we run the same games as we did before, but then we run the struggling issue of like Nitro Plus gets less people, Dengenki Bunko gets less people. Persona 4 gets less people, and we're like, okay, we are now in a situation where we have to make a choice of, do we push the old games and hope they bring in people in, or we try and mix it up and try and bring something new? So, and the reason why this is important is because when you're working with a company for the first time, like Rice Digital, like bless their souls, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for them, Revo wouldn't exist in terms of how it was now. Like that, do you remember that double screen setup that we had at the stage?
Yeah.
They paid for that.
Oh, okay.
And that was like almost $3,000 on its own.
Oh, lovely.
So, like, they basically spoil us. They bought us our stream setup that was initially used, that was had this like maiden event at the Arc Rebel qualifier last year, and that is like a $2,500 piece of equipment. So they do a lot to support us in that sense. So the fact that they've taken a massive risk, because this is not something small to get an event like this up and running. But on the flip side, we do have to make sure that the event is successful enough. And it's like they don't want to turn around and like, oh, why is this game only got like eight players in there? And it's like, well, community in it, which doesn't really bode well, because it makes the community look bad and it makes everyone genuinely look bad. It's like people don't want to turn up even though we put this effort in and so on and so forth. So what we do instead is that we decided, right, instead of making it so strictly focused on games that nobody plays at all, we've decided to make it so it's going to be a accumulation of NGI's projects across the year. So that's the reason why we're bringing in people like Rising Star to show off some games and have like a couple of guest companies to help like bring some stuff in their activities for the casual area and stuff like that on the games that we've helped promote over the year from all different franchises. So like with Rising Star, we worked on stuff with Super Beat Sonic, with Quake Tecmo, we did stuff with Tokiland and so on and so forth. So pick the choices, because I know that I'll go with the two most controversial choices first. The first one is going to be Tekken 7. We were lucky enough to work on the King of Iron Fist project last year. And we were lucky enough to work on the London UK Championship qualifier this year as well. So the good thing is that we've had a lot of positive feedback from those Tekken events, and they've really changed how we looked at a tournament, because where Blaze Blue where Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear, the community is absolutely lovely. Like, they get on with it. If anything goes wrong, they're like, nah, it's cool, it's perfectly fine, it's it's okay, shit happens. Like, for example, one of the staff made a mistake last year where he didn't check who played on which machine on a bracket, and we had to reset the whole side of that portion of the bracket. It was massive fuck up. So what we did, we decided to refund. First thing we did is refund everybody their tournament entries on that side of the bracket, because it basically was like a massive thing that we couldn't do.
Yeah.
And half the people were like, yeah, no, just keep it, stuff happens. And I'm like, well, that's not how this works. It's like, you pay us to give you a service, and we couldn't fulfill that service, so here's your money back. But people are like, oh yeah, no, but it happens though. Like, it's unfortunate, but what can you do? I'm enjoying the event. And I'm like, that's not how you're supposed to reply.
Yeah, that's not how it's supposed to work. You're just meant to take it and be like, yes.
It's like, yeah, man, fuck these guys. Like, these guys can't run tournaments properly. So that's how they should reply. And the thing is that's legitimate. I would understand that, because they've had their experience ruined, and it's really annoying when that sort of scenario happens, and so on and so forth. But the thing is that when we're working with stuff like the Tekken community, especially in London, there is a lot more. There's a bigger dynamic of people with that. So we've changed the way. So doing that sort of tournaments have made us more organizing at sorting out our brackets. They've made us more strict about running tournament matches to make sure that nothing goes awry. And we just want to make sure that things run in order. And we learned a lot from King of Iron Fist, because that was we done that tournament in very, 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 very strict circumstances. It was 64 man. We had this amount of time. We had 4 setups. Bang, bang, bang. Very military style setup, and the people enjoyed it. The Namco staff enjoyed it because they were like, "Oh my god, a tournament that runs on time," and like all that sort of stuff. And it was the same thing with the London qualifier. With the London qualifier, we had I think 109 people for it. Don't get me wrong, it's a free tournament, but this is before the game came out, and we had a lot of people that was running brackets that don't normally run brackets, like Moko, Zero Nero, Nippon are all streamers, and they were running brackets on the day. Just to give you an example of like how much of an operation it was.
Yeah.
And it went well. People were like, "Oh yeah, no, we really hope you can do Tekken again," so on and so forth. And I'm like, "Okay, that's good." And we sort of were thinking, right, maybe we could use that as a way of bringing in T7 into it. It's something that we've personally worked on for a while. So this is not an unknown game to us, and it's not an unknown game to the people that follow us. A lot of people have seen that we've done London qualifier and UK qualifier and that sort of stuff. So we decided, right, maybe it's something that we can push ourselves, and hopefully we can use that to not only bring more people to this sort of tournament, because Revo is a very different style of tournament to most other places, with the way it treats its games, with the way it treats its people, so on and so forth. And the reason why like I'm confident in it, and the reason why the team is confident in it, is because we've been running the events for the year now, where we're comfortable with the people. We're comfortable with the people that come in. We're comfortable with the people that play the game, and they're comfortable with us running the tournament. Not only that, there is a lot of overlap with anime players playing Tekken.
Yeah, there is at the moment. Yeah.
So, and what I hope for actually is that I hope that if more people picks up on it, sort of thing, and hopefully the people that play Tekken will move on to other games like BlazBlue and Guilty Gear and Unionist or any other casual anime games that are there, because a lot of the people that only play Tekken, they don't really play much other games other than like they played like Dead or Alive for a bit, like during the Tekken Tag 2 like era.
Yeah.
And hopefully it brings more people to play more different types of games, which is the more important thing for me, because it's that sort of exposure to, because like because for most people they see, let's take BlazBlue and Guilty Gear on its own. Most of the time when you see BlazBlue and Guilty Gear, they're got their finals on a Saturday, or it's in a side stream, or there's not many people that's following it, or they're like, oh yeah, there's not many Twitch views for these games and stuff like that. This is a good way to show them that if there are people sitting on the fence about BlazBlue and Guilty Gear that come from Street Fighter and Tekken, because I've spoken to a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, man, I'm really interested in these sort of games, but the reason why I don't want to invest in it is because there's not that many people that play it. Obviously, that's a myth.
Yeah.
But this is a good chance for them to be like, oh, actually, there is like 100 or so people for BlazBlue. What the fuck? Why is there this many people playing a game that apparently nobody plays?
Indeed.
So that is that's our reasoning for Tekken 7. It's like a movement from Revolution being strictly only anime to becoming a resolution of all of NGI's projects over a year. So that's T7 aside. Marvel.
Oh, the fun one.
This is an interesting one.
Because apparently this was said, you said no Capcom.
Right. That's actually incorrect, because at Revo 2015, I tried to get Tatsunoko vs. Capcom on the lineup, right? The only reason that didn't work is because it ran on a Wii, and we couldn't get that connected to monitors properly. That's exactly what happened.
I just love it because everyone's like the people which pointed this out were like, yeah, but like no Capcom.
So I'm a massive fan of TVC and Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I'm a massive fan of those 3 games, but the Versus games are very, very different from the core Street Fighter scene. And the reason why MVC is quite interesting is that a lot of people think that, oh yeah, you're getting MVC strictly for the numbers. It's only going to be like chasing Capcom games for the fact that it's popular. But as far as I'm concerned, the Versus series in Europe is dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, there's been 2 major Marvel 3 tournaments, and in Europe, like as far as I'm strictly aware of, and one of them was SVB 2011, where it had 72 people, which is the one that Kaisertron won,
Yep.
and the other one was World Games Cup in France.
And that's
Oh,
it.
and Red Light District.
And that's it.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
So outside of those 3 events, oh, and the only reason why Red Light District was really popular for Marvel is because Chris G and Justin Wong flew over. And of course, those sort of names are going to bring people in, like regardless. So the versus fighting in that in Europe has always been dead. So people have asked me, oh yeah, so why don't you put Marvel 3 in Revo? The issue with that is the same reason why Nitro Plus is not in Revo this year. The biggest issue about Marvel 3 is that probably wouldn't even put in 8 people. That little people play it in Europe competitively because the scene just died off. And a lot of people, obviously there's a couple of people in there. Chrome Alchemist is one, How to Read is another one, Mr. E is another, Gookie Farfar is another one, that all love playing Marvel. But the problem is that there's not that, a lot of the people that used to play it before don't either play FGCs much, fighting games much, or they're very strict with their time, aka Kaisertron, who only plays Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
So it's a very, 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 very strict audience that play it. The reasoning behind Marvel is that I don't care about how the game looks or anything about the DLC procedures. I really don't care. That's got nothing to do with it. Like, I look at strictly the way the gameplay is, and that gameplay is very upbeat. It's very fast. It's very anime-esque.
It's Marvel too.
Yeah. It's more like, I would say it's like more like Marvel versus Capcom 1 or Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. So that game, by my personal estimation, and considering how much I see on Twitter each day saying, oh yeah, Marvel is dead, DBZ forever, Marvel is crap, no one's gonna buy it. By that personal estimation, that game is already poverty.
Yes, that game is
living. That game would be dead on arrival. That's exactly what the audience is telling me. So if that's the case, then it's like, okay, right, we can see how it does for a year. Because I'm personally not expecting that many people from Marvel at all, because I'm very well aware of the previous scene of how Marvel did in Europe, which is not very well. So, and the thing is that Marvel is the Versus is like, it's not about the fact that it's Marvel, it's the fact that it's a Versus franchise for me. So, for example, Marvel 3 and Marvel 2 is in the same franchise table as TVC. It's the same thing for me. So, and the thing is that if it wasn't Infinite and we were dealing with Capcom versus Tatsunoko 2, that wouldn't be that many people say anything about it.
Yeah, true. Got me there.
So I'm looking at it from the franchise perspective only, where all the games are sort of lumped into one. So as far as I'm personally concerned, it's like I'm not worried about. I don't expect high numbers for Marvel because it's a lot of people have slagged it off. A lot of people have saying that it's dead. It looks like rubbish. It plays like crap. And anyone that says anything positive about it is a shill, or they're like Capcom fans or anything. And just on top of that, like, I'm sure people are thinking, oh man, it's only in Revo because Capcom have asked them to. Let me just say that Capcom have not talked to me. They haven't talked to me in about 3.5 years. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't really think that's a worry.
So in other words, Capcom ain't knocking down your door.
Nah, they're not. They've got much better things to do than knocking down on my door.
They're busy with Logan. It's fine.
No, yeah, exactly. And the thing is that I can't even say that it's no Capcom games, because Capcom have made poverty games before. So, for example, if Fate Unlimited Codes 2 came out and we're like, yeah, man, we're running Fate Unlimited Codes 2, and someone said, nah, man, you can't do that because it's a Capcom game, then I'll get upset.
Well, at least we got past the no Capcom thing, and finally people can finally be like, "Oh my god, he actually didn't say no Capcom. He just wanted Tatsunoko versus Capcom." That changes the entire perspective around that very thought. To be honest.
See, and this is the next thing because you have another question for me, which is Capcom related.
I have a side question, and it's an extra. To be honest, and it wasn't on the sheet, but why no Street Fighter 5?
Right. The biggest issue about just Street Fighter 5 has its own multitude of issues of running a tournament. The first thing is that when you run Street Fighter 5, it's hard to pull people in if it's not a Premier or ranking tournament. That is almost fact. That's not the first half of the issue. The second issue, which is the main issue for me, and this specifically goes against how Revel works, is that with Street Fighter, it tends to eclipse a lot of the rest of the tournament. So, for example, I've spoken to people that play Street Fighter a long time, and they're like, "Yeah, man, we would love to." Now, for us, it's a standard to see top 32 get streamed. It's a standard to see top 16 get streamed. We get our own stream, this, that, and the other, and so forth. And it's like, I can't say anything bad against that because that is the expectation they've grown to live with because that's what everyone gives them.
Yeah.
We're not really about that life. And the issue with that is that we try to give all of the games that we have on our roster a fair chance. So we try to get as much stream time as for each game. Each game gets its own time on stage, and stuff like that. That's the reason why. The good thing is that now that because we have both floors on Saturday and Sunday, we have our own proper dedicated stage area for the games that are doing finals on Saturday. So they have their time on stage. They have their main time on the main stream. So we don't have to worry about that. But as soon as Revel is the thing, don't get me wrong, Revel is big enough to carry something like a ranking tournament for SF5 in terms of presence. It's there, but the thing is that you give up a lot for your other games to do that. And that's never what's been Revel's about. So Arcana Heart 3 is just as important as Blaze Blue.
Yeah.
We run it with the same amount of respect. We do the finals with the same amount of respect. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. 1 second.
Yeah, do it.
Give me 1 minute, actually, because I think someone's trying to actually bum me to get in.
Go for it. Alrighty, so we're talking to Rayokarna about Revo, the future of. I'm taking the questions that were asked to me from DMs and giving him the questions as we go. He's got a full list, by the way. He was well informed, and I have talked to him a little bit about the list, and there's a few that were added on his recommendation, so things he wanted you guys to know. So thanks for tuning in, guys. How's everybody doing? This is a fun thing to do. I thought it'd be good. Rayo came to me. I didn't go to him. He came to me and was like, "Gibbs, can I how would you feel about doing an interview and I can discuss things about, new Revo, so to speak? The changes that obviously have to happen from last year to this year." Rayo picked a few of the questions that he wanted to get over to you guys. So there's a few which he wanted to make sure he mentioned, which obviously we turned into questions so he doesn't forget them. And there's a lot from you guys. So there's questions. Most of them are for you. I think there's only 2 from him, actually. So, one of them is based on something he's not actually working on, but wanted to touch on, for example, which we'll get to eventually. So, yeah. It's actually pretty cool doing this. Yo, he's back.
Yo, sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm looking after a couple of people this evening. So.
That's cool.
So what Rayo picked questions?
The Rayo picked questions.
Oh, what is the Rayo picked questions?
The Rayo picked questions were the ones that we talked about last night, which I removed.
Ooh.
And I added a new one for fun, because the new one is something I wanted to ask you last night, but completely forgot to do it.
Okay. To be honest, if you look at the list of the questions that he gave me, I didn't actually remove any. So no, I actually asked him for more.
Remove crap. He just asked me for more. So it was like, it's like, how do you feel about the ESL League? Do you agree to the single elim system and current setup?
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. I'll get to
So we'll
that.
get to that eventually, but that is the sort of thing we're going to be discussing. And I have a special question for them at the end because it's kind of Revo centric and it's kind of cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So where were
So,
we? We were talking about Marvel.
so yeah, we were talking about Marvel and Street Fighter in general.
Yeah.
So, basically, like, yeah, it's to a really long story short for everyone that wasn't paying attention before. Street Fighter eclipses a lot of Revo's concepts of every game gets a fair chance, every game gets done properly, so on and so forth. So that's the issue with running Street Fighter, and it's not because, oh yeah, man, the game is whack, or I hate Capcom games or anything. It's literally just because is that the expectation of Street Fighter at a tournament means that it demands that, which is against how we work.
So you wouldn't do it for the multitude of Londoners who play that game.
No, it's not about that. It's
So
just more of
it's not about the money. It's not about the way that the game is. It's just about what you guys are happy with.
yeah,
There you go,
basically.
folks. That's the easy way of putting it. For anybody who wondered why that's not there, there you go.
Yeah, it's just a case of that their expectations don't line up with ours. That's literally it. So
So we've discussed Tekken. We've hit MVCI. Pokken's the interesting one.
yes,
So, I think the first thing to get out the way is, will the company that doesn't do esports very well, aka Nintendo, be helping?
I cannot disclose any information at this point of time.
Yay!
I don't, seriously, I cannot disclose anything because like nothing at all has been agreed on as of yet.
Good,
We've
good
reached out
stuff.
for them, but that's literally it. I can't say anything about, oh yeah, they're definitely supporting us or whatnot, just because those conversations haven't finished yet.
So do you feel
So
that Pokken is a good fit for this time? Like, is this the
um
beginning of a good Pokken season?
Pokken at Revo is actually quite interesting actually. Because we ran the Pokken weeklies with that team Smash a
Yeah.
lot over the past year. And the thing is that Pokken was always going to be there. That was discussed from very early on. And the good thing about the only thing is that depending on where the date of Revo sat, depending on which version of Pokken we ran. So, funnily enough, right, we were in the middle of a meeting with Rice Digital when Nintendo was like, "Oh yeah, Pokken is actually coming out on the 22nd of September," and we were like, "What?"
Oh, groovy. Good stuff.
So it just happened to be that when Revo's happening is that it sits on that side of when Pokken DX is coming out. So Pokken was always going to be there. The second thing about Pokken actually is not only because the thing is the first thing I said about Pokken more ties into what I said about Tekken, where it's sort of like a resolution or a completion of NGI's projects over the year. The other thing about it is that it kicks off a new initiative that we're starting with some games, and this leads us to another game that we will discuss in a bit about arena fighters. And I have a huge love for arena fighters. Like
Yeah.
I love them. I think they're amazing, amazing spectacles to watch. You've seen some of the stuff that goes on. Having a player have their whole screen to work with and being able to watch that screen
Yeah.
and watch both players have their own separate space to see what they're calculating, see how they're playing, and stuff like that. Something is very special to me about it. And I generated this love for it when I was living in Japan. And comes from watching games like Gundam Versus, the DBZ game that they had out there, which was very similar to Gundam Versus actually. So watching games like Gunslinger Stratos and stuff like that, and see people either playing individually or working as a team, having their own space, having their own system to work on. Very similar to something like CS or League, but in a very sort of more fit fighting games in a sense.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing, I love that sort of thing. So the good thing is that Pokken sits on that because each player has their own station, they have their own space, they have their own screen to work with, and stuff like that. And not many games work that way, and it works really well with the 3D sort of space it works with. So that's the sort of thing that I love about it. And the thing is, Pokken sits in that section as well. Not only that being based on a completely super popular anime, like that aside and everything, if people have forgotten about it, but that's the sort of thing that I'm like about Pokken itself. So no, we're not getting cabs at Revel before anyone asks. Jesus Christ, no thanks. So yeah, so that's the reason why we're putting Pokken. It doesn't matter if it was DX or not. Pokken was always going to be there.
That's fair.
But that's the sort of initiative that we're working with, and that game doesn't apply just to Pokken and Gundam Versus. That's applying. It's like stuff that we want to do stuff with Dissidia when it comes out as well, and that's a perfect example of an arena game that reaches out to loads of people because it's a massive franchise of Final Fantasy, which is like basically everybody's heard of it.
Yeah, it's the god.
Yeah, and it's a 3v3 game, so there's so much strategies involved and stuff. Oh, it's good. I like thinking about it. So yeah.
You mentioned you mentioned you're having a Gundam. Yeah. Will you be getting help from Bandai?
I cannot disclose that
information.
You know I can't disclose any of that information.
Things I've got to still say, unfortunately. I've got to pull the Parkinson. I've got to pull the Parkinson. Yeah, guys, you will eventually find out who's sponsoring what, when, where, why.
Thing is, we've reached out to Namco, and the thing is that the interesting thing about this Gundam Versus is the very first one on a home console that's being released internationally.
Yes, this is why this question exists. To be fair, we're actually going to get to bring it home without any trouble for a change.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, sorry, Nippon, we're not doing 3v3 on Gundam Versus. We're doing 3v3 stuff.
Yeah, 3v3,
no way. Right, in terms of support, again, I can't really say anything because the only thing we've done is we've reached out to Namco. They haven't replied. Or anything like that.
I guess this falls under the it's out in Japan first, so maybe not.
No, because the thing is that at least it's confirmed for the West. So that's the good thing going for it, is that maybe they're like, okay, look, if it's coming out in the West, maybe it's something we could do to support it as a pre-release or something like that.
So possibilities.
So at least the only thing we've done is reached out for them. We haven't really gotten a reply from them yet or anything like that. So as far as I'm concerned, it's not a yes or a no or anything. It's literally just a case of those talks have not started properly yet. So before anyone gets super hyped,
so no hype yet, boys.
Yeah, no hype yet, boys. It doesn't work that way. This is the thing about organizing a tournament and getting support. The thing is that a lot of this stuff it's on varied wavelengths all the time. And it's sort of like managing on when these companies are going to contact you, or when these companies are interested in speaking about it, or stuff like that. Or maybe the problem is that they don't really know when they're able to sort them out themselves, or they don't even know if they even have a budget to support it.
Yeah.
So they have to get all of that sort of stuff first before they can even worry about saying that we can support your game at your tournament. So there is a lot of like red tape there. So it's not easy.
So back to the sort of games listing. You had King of Fighters last year.
Yeah.
You're bringing it back this year, but this time it's had a lot of drop off. People have been leaving it behind in Europe. You can see the numbers kind of dwindling, even at American tournaments, European tournaments, yada yada. Surely there's another game that fits that slot better for Riva.
If someone says Street Fighter 5, I'm going to be really upset.
Well, that's where that probably would have come in, wouldn't it?
Well, no, not really, because the problem is that if people turn up, we run the game.
Yeah, sure.
And King of Fighters had 42 people, no, 42 or 47, one of the two. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. Yeah. It had a lot of people. It had the third highest. We don't see any reason not to run that again. Because the people came for it, people played for it. Sure, it came out pretty close to when the game came out. The event happened pretty close to when the game came out. But people have been genuinely looking forward to playing it again at Revo. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, is King of Fighters there?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is. It will be," because it was the third highest game. I can't really turn around and say, oh yeah, no, sorry, Europe and America doesn't like your game. We have to drop it now.
Yeah, that seems to be the thing that's happening now. So I'm happy to see somebody sticking to their guns, but a lot of people are questioning their choices of it at the moment.
Yeah, okay. If it's at hype spike and they got 40, that's a decent number.
Yeah, that's a good number.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I can't be. See, the thing is that we only judge the games, returning games, at how they've done at our events, not at other events.
Yeah.
Because if we judge Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear like that, Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear wouldn't even be in the lineup.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, that's the thing. Like at the moment.
Because like, I'm sure other TOs are thinking to themselves, how did these guys get like bloody 95 plus people for Blaze Blue?
Yeah,
Like, whenever we do it, we only get about 18 or 25 or so. What the hell? So like, it's to judge it by someone else's tournament numbers is not very good.
Yeah.
So if it was a thing where it was, if it was a thing where more people from, if it was a new game coming in, then it's a different story because that's the only thing we could judge it by. Well, the thing is that we have to give it a shot anyway. Because the thing is, by going by MVCI's numbers, we just wouldn't have Marvel at all. We just wouldn't have Versus. It was just like, what's the point? Everyone's like, yeah, man, you're chasing money. It's like, why would I chase a franchise which has barely pulled in like 10 people into a tournament? It's like, come on, really.
So if we're on about games which apparently had bad turnout, obviously we know this is incorrect. You guys had Skullgirls last year. This is another returning game.
Yeah.
Why is it back? And are you a part of the new Skullgirls tour?
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, this question is actually a bit of a joke, because like anyone that says that Skullgirls did badly last year didn't actually look at how much people signed up for it. It had 34 people signed up for Skullgirls, but the thing is that a lot of the Skullgirls signups were all unique. So a lot of these people only came in for Skullgirls. That means a lot, and especially as the fourth highest game.
Well, you had Americans there.
Yeah, exactly. We had the McPeanuts.
Yeah, you had McPeanuts, yeah.
And that guy's boss. He's jokes.
But are you going to be a part of a new tour? Is there even a new tour? Who knows?
I don't know about any information about the tour. The thing is about the tour last year is that it literally got dropped on me a couple days after I announced, we announced Skullgirls there. Like, and I was like, wait, what is going on with this tour? This is great that it's been recognized. I'm happy that it's got recognition being the tour, but it took me by so much surprise. I was literally like blindsided by it all. So when the dust settles, like, oh yeah, it's a sort of tournament where like it's recognized as a sort of a thing where this is the place to play Skullgirls, and I'm like, well, I really appreciate that, because we're just running Skullgirls for the very first time, being called. Give me 1 second.
Do it. Okay, we're on the Skullgirls section of the night. Nippon, when is the Dot Hack versus tournament? When? I know you took that game last year and you left it in the console. When are you guys going to do Dot Hack versus? Damn. I mean, that's niche as hell, right? That's the poverty. Perfect question for you, man. Perfect question for you. At least if you're playing it offline, you don't get the dodgy netcode. Fight of Gods, oh damn. Seriously though, Dot Hack versus.
I'm back. Whew.
I'm annoying Nippon with the Wednesday Dot Hack versus tournament. Since he seems to leave it in the PS3 every single time he goes to Revo now.
No,
on purpose as well.
No, never again. That's not about that game.
So yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so here's my favorite question, and it's the one which I know the answer to, and will forever know the answer to because I've spoken to you guys enough. Arcana Heart 3 remains on the roster. Is it the Eternal NGI game? And is there a Japanese player being brought over this year?
In terms of Japanese player, no. As far as I'm concerned, Archer has done some mad advertising about Rebel though, and he's like, yeah, man, I want someone to come with me to like play Arcana Heart, and I was like, right, okay. But The thing is that we've always sat on the fence about removing Arcana Heart.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually a thing, right? We've multiple times we've sat down at the big Knights of the Round Table of NGI. We're like, yeah, when is Arcana going to be removed? Here's the problem with Arcana is that it always gets just enough numbers to scrape out the bottom. Every single year, without fail. It is really frightening. And then you get the people like the Spanish lot coming over. Then you get some of the people from elsewhere, from some really far places to play it.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's becoming the eternal game, but it's not the eternal game because we've kept it in. It's become the eternal game because people keep entering it.
Yo, guys, here's the answer to killing off Arcana Heart. Don't enter.
Don't enter. If you don't want it to
no. Do me a favor. Do enter.
I'm not entering this year. I can't defend my 4th place.
Yeah, he's not.
position.
Yeah, they're not allowed to play this year.
I'm not allowed to play this year because I've got too much stuff to do, unfortunately.
Angel
Sorry,
Dog
guys.
Song apparently isn't taking part in Pokken.
Yeah, but that's his business.
It's his business, but I'm sad.
Oh, I don't question my teammates.
I'm not going to question it. I'm just sad because I want to support like everything. You know.
You never know. He might turn around.
You know, if he
no.
actually goes yes, and I literally get to watch it on stream, and I'll be beaming with stars around my head or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Is he? Yeah. Chris has got made a perfect point in stream. It's as eternal as the copy of Lost Planet 3.
Oh, speaking of, actually, let's do this one for fun since they've mentioned that. It's the raffle back.
The raffle is back, but we're trying to look for a place to schedule it. So we don't have much information on that just yet. But we will get information on it before it is out.
Yeah, I'd be sad if like you couldn't give somebody else a copy of German Lost Planet 3, which seems to be the eternal tournament killer.
It's the thing is the flag we'll have to end up buying the Lost Planet IP from Capcom and just using that as a Revo logo at some point. So
I mean, like the funny thing is that like every single time somebody wins that, the person that wins does badly at Revo the year they go. They've got it. It's actually a thing, and I think it was Valti that won it, and Valti's going to get bodied in 2017 if he ends up at Revo. This is it, boys. Valti out in Unist.
Damn.
No top 8.
No top 8. Gets put down. Goes 0-2. And that's like, what happened to him? He's like, nah, man, my tech didn't work. And it's like, well, okay. It just didn't work for you. I'm sorry, fam.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the raffle is happening. It's just a case of that we'll have more prizes than ever before.
Oh, but that means I need to send Krovas again. He wins everything.
Yeah, no, we raffle is confirmed, but we just need to find out. We just need to sort out the time. We're gonna have much more prizes than before because we've got a lot of supporters for it, which is nice. So, and the thing is that what we're also looking to do is possibly doing something charity-wise for it as well, just to make sure that it goes to a good cause. So,
it wasn't Valti. It was a Spanish guy. I don't even remember. I just remember some guy won Mega Man on the GameCube, and I was pissed.
Was that Transmission Network?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good game.
Yeah, I have the Japanese box. Is so nice. I was.
Well, you gotta come to everyone, win it, innit?
Ah, damn. Means I've got to find a way of traveling. Good stuff. Okay, so here's a question for you, and this one's I'm not going to read out the entire thing because you've touched on it. But side tournaments, are people allowed to apply?
Yeah. The side tournaments are preferably done on Saturday and Sunday. Prefer if you want to do side tournaments and you want to get the maximum people for it, then I guess to do it on Sunday because it's all finals on Sunday, so you don't have to worry about brackets being run. Yeah, there's side tournaments Saturday and Sunday though, so because we have more space on the Saturday and Sunday. So
okay, so here's one that got asked in terms of the idea that you're not anime enough anymore. Would you consider reviving Angel's Duel not as an Examu Cup but as an anime centric event every year?
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff just to sort that out because you have to find a good place in the calendar. You got to find a venue. You got to find a venue which is good price, that it doesn't break the bank, but it also has to be a comfortable enough venue to fit people in there. But it has to be enough where you have to expect low numbers on that one. Because if you expect, everyone's going to turn up, then you're going to be grievously mistaken.
Yeah.
Unless you do something like Blaze Blue or Guilty Gear to reign the event, and but at that point it just becomes Rebel version 2. So the thing is about running older games is that there's not a problem with it. It's just a case of that the not only is there has to be an audience for it as well. It has to you have to make sure that it's what's the way of explaining it? You have to just make sure that it runs decently well. And the biggest thing about the biggest things about a lot of the about a lot of the stuff at Revel is the fact is that there's just not been any anime games that have come out recently. So if there was like something another anime fighter that did come out, I'd be more than happy to put it in. But there hasn't really been anything out in the past 12 months.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping. Yeah, and it's hard to get people out for anime twice a year. That's because that brings in burnout, and that's the reason why we didn't want to do Sakura Fight Festa again, is because it does burn people out. Because people are like, oh man, I want to save my money for this event, and then like Revel turns up, and they're like, oh, but I could go to Revel instead, and then you give them that choice, and that's when things get difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't want to burn people out across the whole year. What I'm hoping for is that in 2018 there's a lot more anime games. I hope.
Yeah, that'd be a thing, wouldn't it? I know
Yeah.
that Square Enix have a new fighting game in the works, so maybe we'll get that. Maybe.
I know there's like 5 or 6 games in the works.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's going to be a thing if any of
yeah,
them come over.
yeah, exactly. So it's and also yeah, we got the obligatory DFCF next year and everything else that's coming over and whatever that's gonna be and stuff like that. So there are already games that are looking at next year. Dissidia is out next year as well, so that's another game that's going to be put in. And I really want to push that game as well. So yeah, there's like
Just games everywhere.
yeah, there's games, but the problem is that between 2016 2017 there's been nothing, fam.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The fact that Tekken has managed to come out in that time.
Well, it's only 3 years late.
Well, I've got a story for you. I've got a story for you about Tekken in the arcades, and you're gonna find this funny, right?
Yeah.
I work in an arcade, as you know.
Yeah.
A Tekken cab on its own costs 15 grand.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
But the thing is that the way a Tekken cab works, you have to buy 2 units. The 2 units counts as one. Like you can't play local on a consumer cabinet. It's not possible.
Okay.
So you have to play with them linked up, right?
All right.
15 grand it is for 1 unit, right? That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Right. Namco Arcade Department promised everyone in East Asia when Tekken 7 is out, any updates for that game is free.
Right.
That was incorrect.
Oh god.
Because when Fated Retribution came out, which is the one that had Akuma in it and so on and so forth, they charged a 5 grand hard drive upgrade per machine.
God.
So, and the thing is, that means you have to get 2 hard drive upgrades per setup. So to get a single copy of Tekken 7 in the arcade, that's 25 grand.
Bug of that.
Exactly. So I think, and the thing is about Tekken 7 is that you're not looking with Tekken 7. People have to remember that it's not just about the console department that are sorting that game out, because they have to make sure that release of Tekken comes out in a cycle where they're not making any money off the arcade machine version anymore.
Yeah, true.
So the less profitable Tekken becomes in the arcade, the quicker it comes to console. So if the thing is that Tekken didn't do amazingly well, not as much as previous entries. But for every Tekken that doesn't do well in the arcades, it does well on consoles. So.
And that'll do, won't it? That's a good deal.
Yeah, so go figure. Go figure.
Okay, I'm going to change the order of these two because it doesn't make sense if I don't. How do you feel? Okay, so you're not running this, I know that for a fact, but how do you feel about the ESL League that you guys are streaming? Do you agree with Single Elim in the current setup, or Would you like to argue for better, or would you help argue for better, or should players be arguing for better? What's
I
the...
would help argue for better, sure. I can't question the system they use because I don't play in it. It would be very unfair of me to say, "Oh yeah, nah, man, screw single limb." I don't play in it, so it's not in my place to say. But
Yeah,
if people was like, if people wanted to, the good thing is that the fact that ESL is even doing it,
yeah.
because at the end of the day, one of the biggest things that I hear a lot in the anime community is that we want our games to be recognized.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's the number one thing these days.
Because a lot of people are upset by the fact that they're shoved to the side because of games like Street Fighter, because of games like Injustice, or instead of games like Killer Instinct, whenever that happens anyway, um, and all sort of stuff. The fact that ESL is doing it shows that people are actually paying attention to it.
Yeah,
So instead of being like, oh man, screw ESL, the rules aren't to my liking and so forth, what people should do as a community, which I know that the anime community is very, very, very capable of, is to collectively get their ideas and be like, and put them in a nice, polite way and be like, look, right, we know that you guys usually do the ESL stuff. Here's what we think we could make it better.
yeah.
And communicate with that guys with that to the ESL staff. And the thing is, if people want to do that, I'll help argue for it.
Nice. So Rio will help you if you want to argue for better ESL rules, or whatever you've got on your mind. Because I know the people that asked that question are people that have taken part in the ESL stuff and haven't been too happy with the
format and stuff.
overall
Yeah,
everything. To be quite
yeah.
honest, so it's a bit of a thing. Is there anything you can reveal now about the future of NGI and where it goes after Revo? Or what you would like to do with NGI if Revo is a success? Even.
What I'd like to do is to have a nap.
Yes, sleep for 365 days.
Yup, and then come out like next Revel and be like, I'm ready.
My body
Um,
is ready.
yeah. Okay. Right. If Revel is successful this year, then we do it next year. It's as simple as that. Speaking, the biggest guys that got all of the stuff sorted for Revel this year is Nate Hawk, Peter Fury, the guy that does all of the amazing PR stuff
I love that guy.
at P Cube, and Garen Evans,
Yeah,
yeah,
the owner of PCube and
the most pervious head of marketing guy I know in terms of the sheer amount of pantsy stuff he does. It's great. I love it.
well,
And so,
I watched him playing Galgun, so I know exactly what to expect.
oh, oh, that's that's the joy in itself. Um, and no, seriously, if it wasn't for those two guys, Revel won't exist this year. Like straight up.
Yeah,
And the thing is that they've been supporting Revel constantly in the past 4 or 5 years, like without fail. And like they want the event to grow because they want it to be a platform to be able to push more fighting games from, to be able to push more um, East Asian games, not just Japanese games, just various other bits and pieces and stuff like that. And to them, and the thing is that I, the thing is that I am not proving this. NGI is not. NGI is not. I am not proving Revolution to be successful to NGI, or NGI is not proving anybody else that proving to Garen and Peter that it's going to be successful. The people that fund this, are basically their higher ups. So if we could say, look, this event is successful. This event is really, really, really good. We've got all these people turning up and stuff like that, and it's really successful last year. The more there'll be people willing to put more funds in. And to be honest with you, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, and now you're partner up with a company, they affect what games you put in and stuff like that. No, 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 no. The fact that we have Tekken, Pokken, Marvel, and Gundam are all our own personal choices.
yeah,
We sat down as a group to talk about them, of what games we decided to put in, what would work, what wouldn't work, and what we want to try. Like, they've not interfered at all with the game selection. They've not interfered at all with the scheduling or anything of the bits and pieces. What they've done is that they've put in a lot of effort into the marketing aspect. They're putting a lot of effort into the
Okay, he'll BRB. Ooh, how's it going, folks? I've been reading chat. It's just he's laughed though. Damn. Yeah, he's got people over, so he's kind of juggling bits and bobs. It's all good. You will platinum gun Galgun even. Yeah, totally. I still need to go back to it myself, to be honest. I did the first two.
Oh, are we still up?
Yeah, hello, welcome back.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, whoops. My thing came out.
All good.
How far did I get up to?
You were talking about how they don't interfere with scheduling, yada yada.
Oh, okay. So they don't interfere with scheduling and stuff like that. So they've done their best to give us as much space as possible to do our thing. So they're these guys that seriously, they have taken some serious beatings to get stuff like Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue out to the West. So if anything, it's like this is not even a case of supporting NGI in general. If the people are supporting this event, it supports the fact that we get more games that we're not normally able to get, or that we would have had to import to get, in a timely fashion to the West. And it also does is that these pictures get sent back to companies and saying, "No, look, there's actually people that play your game." One of the reasons why we even had an Arc Rebel qualifier from before is because they sent the pictures off to Rebel saying that there's actually people in Europe that actually like your game.
Yeah.
And that's not down to us doing an event. That's down to people turning up. Because if people don't turn up, there's no point of us doing an event.
Indeed. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, when people turn up, it only generates a cycle of positivity in it. It's like, sure, don't get me wrong, the event is not going to be perfect. There's always going to be something goes wrong. Something will blow up. Some brackets will get messed up. Come on, I'm not going to be I'm not going to be delusional about that. But if people do turn up and stuff, and if they be like, okay, look, okay, here's what you could possibly change for next year. Here's what didn't work. Here's what good did work. Then at least we could use that to improve for next year. But if people come, then it supports more things like that. Then we get more funding for more sort of that stuff, and we can make stuff like Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear and stuff, more esports and stuff like that. So don't get me wrong, like, even though Tekken is in there, our three last games on Sunday are still Uniest, Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue.
Yeah.
And it's the first time we'd have Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue on the same stage on the same day.
That's true. Yeah. That'll be good stuff.
Yeah. So for example, the Sunday lineup is Gundam, Tekken, Uniest, Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that we even have Gundam there is like, that's pretty sick. I must admit.
Yeah, I like that. I'll be watching that for sure.
So
yeah.
It's basically, if Rebel does well this year, it does well this year. It happens next year. That's literally the only thing I can say on that.
There you go, guys. So you got to support to get support to do the event to support. There you go.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's not easy to do. It's not easy to say, yeah, man, if you come, it gets support and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where it's like, well, Europe has moved in very big paces in terms of the anime community, because there's been so many anime fighting game communities across the whole of Europe. Spain has its own 4 days dedicated to it. For example, we've got an Arc Rebel qualifier, for crying out loud. More games than ever is being published in Europe for fighting games. It's actually going places.
It's the golden age. Kind of.
Yeah, and the thing is that Sure, we have our own slip ups like Fighting Climax didn't get published in the West. Blade Arcus was another one, even though that had its own set of issues, like no online play.
Yeah, don't remind me. I pre-ordered that and couldn't cancel.
So
I remember the day that tweet went out.
I'm sorry, man.
I was so angry, dude, because it was a full price game with no netcode, which was some sort of very special. They must have paid Tony Taka like billions and forgot the netcode existed. Whatever.
No comment.
No comment because Tony Taka. Ahem. Your artwork all looks the same, mate.
Fault is a very amazing visual novel.
Yes, I've got a special question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite memory from the Balney Community Center, and will you miss it?
Right. Oh. There is a lot. Chris Seto's pictures at the end of every single revolution. Always godlike. Oh, jeez. Chatting to various people. Whenever Kaisertron walks into the room and he looks at me, he always thinks I'm going to troll him, and I just shake my head, and he's like, "What did I do now?" That's always great. Here, in this one, right? Thanks to the Skullgirls community for this one, because they actually brought this one up, right? Last Revo, alright. I don't know if it was on stream. I highly doubt it was on stream. But I cannot remember at the time. Our toilets got flooded for the second time in a row. Second time in a row, and I got severely upset.
Yeah.
So what I did is that people. You see, the funny thing is that people every revolution I usually do the same thing. Is that for the start of every day, I call people in to center. We do a breakdown of the day and stuff like that. And like, I'm sure these people are thinking, who the fuck is this black guy speaking to us? I've never met him before. And basically, like I got so upset that I told everybody from every single room in the Bonnie Community Center, get in the hall right now.
Oh, damn.
And everyone was like, wait, what did we do? And I was like, I don't care, get in the damn room. So everyone sort of all huddled into the room in complete confusion. Complete confusion. And the thing is, there's still people playing the game. So I said, everyone's got to stop their games. And people kept playing. And I pointed out to people there. I was like, look, if you don't stop your games, you could play your games outside. And I don't mean the hallway. I actually mean outside.
Damn.
And they were like, everyone was silent. And I literally took 15 minutes out to grill everybody about not fucking flushing the toilets properly.
Damn.
So what happened because of that? Because at this point, nobody knows who Rayokarna is at that point. They're like, oh, he's this like random guy that chats shit and stuff like that at this point. So, like, at this point, nobody had a name to put to me or anything like that. No one knew who this guy really was. Basically, the Skullgirls community, and this was in the Skull Hearts forum. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. I love those guys to bits. They're great. They're a great community. They were like, yeah, man, Angry Toilet Man for Skullgirls 2017, because no one could put a name to me, and that just stuck with it. And then I've got nothing. My team just had that. It's like, oh yeah, no, he's not Rayokarna. He's the Angry Toilet guy. That name stuck with me more than my actual name.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that was actually a thing. The other one, Chris brought up another good one, was the hype meter in the first year.
You mean when the power went off?
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Too loud, so everything went off.
It was like when everybody started cheering, and then everyone says like, "Oh man, if we can't cheer, everyone golf claps."
Oh my god.
And then I can't remember who it was. I think it was Jackal or something who got really hyped. He won Unio, and then the power just went off, and everyone just stopped caring at that point.
So will you miss the Boney? Would you ever go back again for anything on a smaller scale?
I'd love to be honest with you. The prices are a little bit more expensive, but it is a very nice venue. A nice bunch of people. Clara, Erica. Without them, we would never been able to run it. They gave us the opportunity to run Revolution for the first 3 or 4 times, and they were very welcoming. They were very understanding and stuff. I love those guys. They bent over backwards to help us to get the event running. So yeah, I'll happily do something smaller scale. But it's just a case of that we don't have anything planned at the moment because we're trying to get all of the stuff for Revel wrapped up, and we're trying to get stuff for pre-Revel wrapped up as well. There'll be more information on that soon. So
Yeah, good stuff.
there's a lot of bits and pieces. So it's just yeah. I'm sorry. I have been really vague with questions with companies and stuff like that, but I can't really say much
But
because
he's got to do that. It's fine.
it's
I've got to ask, but he's got to be vague. See, that's how
yeah.
the interviewee thing works.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, guys. You guys obviously deserve better, but I can't open my mouth
It's all good.
on any stuff like that. But as soon as I'm able to release that information, I'm more than happy to give it to you. So it's like I was chomping at the teeth to get the dates out, and I got a huge telling off by everybody for announcing the dates and games early. So like yeah, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's rightfully so because at the end of the day, people have to do their press releases and stuff. Again, it's a lot of red tape. You have to go through that sort of stuff. And I was like, nope, screw that. I'm announcing on Twitter the dates and the games, and yeah,
Hey guys, here's your games. Don't do it.
yeah. And
Damn.
I got reeled in pretty quickly because of it. So
Damn.
yeah, so
Any
I'll
last
always do it again though. So it's okay.
any last messages, thoughts, etc. for the people watching?
Don't be afraid to ask me any questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. I try not to have I do not have a very cynical, snarky reply, and I'll answer as honest as possible, as no matter how ridiculous the question. I could also say that I am confirmed to have. I can confirm that if we do have Revo in 2018, the first game that will be there will be Rocket League.
Oh snap!
So yeah, the Rocket League is confirmed to be at Revo for 2018. And I'm hoping to get like ESL support for it. So look out for that. 3v3 Rocket League.
Damn. So if there's anything anybody wants to know in chat before we wrap up, do give us a shout because stuff and things.
Yes.
Oh no, no, no. Will angry toilet man be in attendance?
It depends because if the toilets are unusable, I'm going to get really upset. So
how many toilets you got this time?
4.
So if somebody breaks 4 toilets, stuffed.
Yeah, because the thing, that's another thing about the breaking the toilets, right? That costs us a deposit, so don't do it.
Damn.
And the deposit on the Boney Meadow Community Centre was about 250 quid, right? Which, for the most part, seems minuscule, right?
Yeah.
The deposit on the new venue is about $2,000. Don't do it.
Don't break the toilets, boys.
Don't do it.
When's the Final Fantasy 14 4v4 PvP tournament? This is degraded.
when I could get Yoshi P to fix Machinist. Let's just say that.
Many anime doujin games are PC only, yet there's an aversion to running them at tournaments. Why is this? That's actually a good question because PC. Even I know the answer to this. Off. Just because PC games tend to have really strange mechanics when it comes to either boards or whatever.
There's a lot of weird things.
Little nuances.
There's a lot of weird things about running stuff on PC, especially when it comes to time frame is the biggest thing about running stuff on PC, and it becomes an absolute nightmare because what normally is a normal thing where changeover between games is like 35 seconds or to a minute and a half. For PC games, it becomes up to about 3 minutes long. And we tested this with Multi Blood, which is Multi Blood's no unknown game. This is a game that everyone's been playing for years, and even then, the logistical issues showed up in that game, and that game is a proper fighting game on PC.
Yeah, exactly right.
So it's not a case of that. Oh, and secondly, no one's actually come to me and spoken to me about it as well. So that's another thing. No one in the team's spoken about it because doing stuff on PC is genuinely quite difficult, and it's very time consuming, very very time consuming. So
There
yeah,
you go. PC thoughts.
yeah. So it's if it was on console, then more than happy to do it. On PC, we actually have to allocate more time than usual, which is the sad thing.
Anybody else got anything else? Or are we good? Anime Evo did have issues with Koihime. That was a thing. I remember that.
Yeah, and the thing is that don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the thing is that the games that you're mentioning, Melty, Akatsuki, and Koihime, I consider them proper fighting games.
Yeah.
I don't consider them dojin fighting games. The only issue is that because they run on PC, they run on PC. That is literally their only issue.
When is Gundam Versus even out in EU?
It is out this fall. So if you're interested
there's no
in
solid
Gundam,
date.
if you're interested in Gundam Versus, buy it this year fall. But if you want to get into it for Revolution, and we will be running events for it, more information on that sooner or later. Make sure you import it.
Yeah, totally.
Speak to Saboteur. He's a Scottish guy that does everything Gundam. Me and Saboteur are going to be working on some online stuff for Europe as well. So don't worry, we're going to be making sure that there is going to be a place to practice for the people that do import it, and we'll make sure that we'll have resources and stuff sorted for it and stuff like that. So definitely, there's a lot of stuff that's going to it. So if you want to get into Gundam, definitely for this year, and the more people that support Gundam this year, we could guarantee it for next year. Then I can make Fury eat his hat, so which is the main thing.
Ooh, snap. But he's not allowed to take his hat off ever again. He freaked me out when he was at the Arc Revo qualifier when he had his hat off. I can't recognize Fury without his hat on. I don't believe it.
I try not to stare. I just try not to stare.
Fair enough. So there we go, folks. I think we're done. That's an hour and a half. Thank you very much to Rayokarna for hanging out with me and talking about Revo and other stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm more than happy to. And the thing is, I know that a lot of people had a lot of questions of like, oh man, this lineup is really weird this year. This lineup doesn't make much sense or stuff like that. But the thing is that I'm more than happy to answer questions. I'm not going to not answer questions that people ask me. Like, obviously, if you like post like really passive aggressive messages or tweets and stuff on Twitter and stuff like that, obviously I'm not going to answer them. Like, come on, seriously, I'm not going to get into a Twitter argument on Twitter. But if you actually come up to me like, oh yeah, how come this game is on there, and I'll tell you why. It's really simple.
Yeah, the man's very approachable. I'm me talking to him after 2 years. What can I say?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be like, nah, man, screw you. Who are you again? I'm not speaking to you. Like, if you're gonna ask me a question, I'll give you an answer. But the thing is that as long as you're not passive aggressive about it, I will answer it, and I'll give you an honest answer as well. I'll not. If I can't answer it, that's because I am not legally obligated to answer it. As in, like, if I say something, it puts someone else in trouble. Like, in terms of, and that's to do with like proper finances with the event and all sort of stuff. That's not my bit of it. But if you want to ask about anything about how the tournaments are run, the games that are there, some of the activities that are there when we announce more, because there will be activities there. If you wanted to be an artist there, because we have Amadeus, we have YF Studios, and we have Vermilion Dice is going to be there. So we actually have artists forever. Way!
Yeah, well, Amadeus though. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, so all that sort of stuff I'm fine with people asking me. I'm more than happy to answer a question if it's about the dates and how we came to that and stuff like that. We've got Boo Poo.
Yeah, the jam guy. Yeah, Amadeus, the jam guy. Yeah.
Boo Poo, you know. Oh my god, that sounds like a good idea.
Good ball pool.
Oh my god, I might have to suggest that.
Good ball pool.
I could put that outside on the Saturday. Actually, that's a really good idea.
Good ball pool.
I might have to.
Bouncy castle.
No, it's not a big enough space for bouncy castle.
Damn it.
I'd like to.
When you want to be an 8-year-old again, you know.
Yeah, you know, innit? Well, when we do the SBO thing and have Revolution outside, and we'll go for it.
when he goes esports.
Oh
Dude,
man,
when's ball pool esports?
I don't know. Well, when Koihime gets to esports, we can do it. It will take a while, but we can do it.
So, can I trust you to give me an interview after Revo to find out how things went?
Sure.
Hey!
Just give me until the Tuesday because let me tell you guys a story about Revel last year, all right? Because everyone is like, yeah, but dedication though. What is dedication to tournaments? Oh, actually, it perfectly goes back to that tweet that you sent me yesterday about dedication, a TO's dedication,
Oh no!
right? Because people want to talk about dedication, right? And my team are dedicated as fuck. Like we had people up until 4 o'clock on the Sunday night, 4 a.m. Sunday night on Revel last year, making sure the equipment went back, right? By the time me and Jide was done delivering equipment, right? I live in Bermondsey, in Southeast London, Zone 2, right? But my parents' house is in Haringey, which is North London, Zone 3, right? By the time we were done delivering equipment, it was 7:30 a.m. So that meant I could get the morning tube back home.
That's what you
So
call
I
your all-nighter, damn.
so I didn't get home until 9, right? And most of the team didn't get to bed until about 6 a.m.
Damn.
just sorting stuff out. So if anyone wants to say anything about how dedicated the team is, I will personally slap them because they bring so much effort. And if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for the team that's behind NGI's events and stuff like that, it would never get done. It would never ever get done.
Indeed.
So yeah, the dedication.
So, I've got one thing to do. I'm going to start announcing stuff for Revo. So,
Ooh.
Revo advert on screen, guys. It is on the 6th until the 8th of October. And there's a command on my bot now for Revo 17. And I will be tweeting it out from here until the next millennium.
Ooh.
So, as always, every year, I want to help out in some way because I can't go. I will be throwing this at people from now on. So, if you don't go to this event, I will hunt you down.
Why not use the Bridge Academy? That's an interesting question. Right. Okay. I am not going to say anything more about dates, right? And there's a reason for this. So that is it. Anything about dates and stuff, I will speak to you after Evo.
Yeah, so in other words, yeah.
Yeah, after Evo, I can have a proper open discussion about dates.
There you go, folks. I think we'll wrap it up there. I'll have to buy the ticket to Tallinn Gibbs. Jesus Christ, I can't afford that. I'm poor. I'm poverty. Do you realize the games I play? Hello? I've already got a monitor which is breaking, which needs to be replaced. I've got a capture card that needs to be replaced. I've just bought the new PC and paid off the debt. So, don't make me spend any more money at the moment, guys, because I've got plans for next year too. Don't bother me yet.
See, that's the thing, right? This Revel, the initial Revel announcement is just the first. There is a lot of other stuff that we have planned, so don't think that it's over yet.
Yeah, you're gonna get to know more about whatever they're doing. It's gonna be good. So we'll leave it off there. Thanks to Rayokarna again for the interview. Thanks a lot, buddy.
It's been fun. I love doing these. So.
And it'll happen again after Revo when he's rested and ready to discuss either. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say because it sounds terrible, but it's
so
either
if it's a
winnings.
failure,
yeah, if it's a failure, you're gonna talk to me and probably cry over the microphone, and if it's a roaring success, you're gonna be super hype, and we're gonna discuss the next year's possibilities.
I have already expected both ways, so don't worry about that.
If it's a failure, then I will not be happy with you. I need you to survive from my own common interests. Anime FGC boys, get it done. And with that, remember, sign up for Revo. The website is on the bot now. Goodbye, everyone.
All right, goodbye.